We are finally here, championship weekend. 4 teams remain with only 3 games left in the season. We're 2 weeks away from crowning a champion. Who will it be? We're just going to jump right into it. So first thing on the docket, we have the AFC Championship game between the Kansas City Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens. If you told me that this would be the matchup at the beginning of the season, I'd say that, yeah, that tracks. How they got here, however, is a little more surprising. KC has had its most, let's call it, pedestrian season in the Mahomes era. They've struggled to move or catch the ball throughout the season, but here they are yet again in the AFC Championship game. And if that's your floor for success, I'd say it's a pretty good standard. Just ask the Astros. The Chiefs earned their berth by taking care of business in Buffalo last week, where while it did not look like the high-flying Chiefs of past years, except for MVS coming out of nowhere to actually catch the ball, they came away with a win and added to Bills fans' growing therapist bills. The Ravens, on the other hand, have spent their season defying narratives. Hindsight being what it is, they have looked like the closest thing to a top, consistent power throughout the NFL season. Lamar Jackson has authored what should be an MVP campaign. They've stayed mostly healthy. Sure, they've lost J.K. Dobbins and Keaton Mitchell, but this season has certainly been a lot healthier than they have in the past year, and they've shook that narrative, in my mind. They thoroughly dispatched my upstart Texans. We're not going to talk about that. Last week, and while Lamar will continue to have his detractors because, I don't know, reasons, he's absolutely done enough to prove to me that he can show up in these big games and win. I'm not going to bury the lead here. This is the Ravens' game to lose. They are the most complete team in the NFL. Their home field advantage is real, and they have one of the most battle-tested teams in the entire league. If they have a weakness, maybe it's their receiving core not being top tier, but I'd still take that core over the Chiefs. Plus, with Lamar's dynamic playmaking ability where he can kill you through the air or on the ground, they really don't need their receivers to be elite. They just need them to catch the ball. I want to emphasize, this is the Ravens being just that good and not saying that the Chiefs are weak. I think this is going to be a decently close game through most of it. And if I had to pick something that'll ultimately be the difference between the Ravens and the Chiefs, I'd say, maybe it's their offensive inconsistency, although that's changed over the past couple of weeks during the playoffs. But maybe it's their run defense being a bit of an issue if they can't bottle up Lamar and he's able to spring free, or they're able to get chunk runs off of that. But that's about it. We're talking a really close battle through most of this game. I'm always reluctant to pick against the Chiefs when it comes to Mahomes' playoff BS. And it is alive and well, let's be honest. But here we are. Ravens going to the Super Bowl. Now, on to the NFC Championship game between the Detroit Lions and San Francisco 49ers. I'll be open about my bias. I have no investment in the NFC beyond wanting the Saints to win, and clearly that wasn't happening this year. I kind of want the Lions to win it all, given that. Of the 4 teams left, they're easily the most likable. You could say they've got the best story. Not in the Game of Thrones kind of way, just like it's an actual good story. Still, they've probably got the toughest road ahead to win it all out. They've grown into a real threat this year, but unlike the other 4 teams, there's never been a point in the season, particularly in the playoffs, where you're like, yes, this is the team to beat. They got the job done last week, but now they go on the road to face a team in the 49ers that has a lot fewer weaknesses than the Bucs team was last week. The Lions' defense is going to be tested to its absolute limits. We all know when the 49ers are right, they can score at will. The Lions' pass rush has to win against the San Francisco line, which I think is a little bit more vulnerable than a lot of people give them credit for. If the Lions can constantly be in Brock Purdy's face, causing pressure and disrupting plays, it could be the spark for a Detroit upset. Now, for the 49ers, again, while far from perfect, have retained their preseason acclamation as the team to beat in the NFC. I am a little bit worried about attrition. This team has gone through injury after injury. Deebo Samuel's banged up again, and who knows if he'll play on Sunday. And that secondary looks very beatable at times. I'm convinced that both of these games are going to be good. And while I think the AFC will eventually get out of hands and land firmly with the Ravens, this game is going to be very close, and I fully expect it to come down to who has the ball last. I really, really want to give this to the Lions. And while I hope I'm wrong, I've just got to go with the 49ers on this. They're at home. The weather is going to be much better for Purdy if you're a believer in that narrative. And I just think San Francisco has the star power to win a foot race, even if Debo doesn't play, and just outlast Detroit. So with that, I'm predicting a Super Bowl 47 rematch. 49ers against Ravens. Hopefully we won't have a power outage in this one. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree, disagree, and who do you have going to the big game in 2 weeks. Thanks all.